Morning guys, Mark Ferrasci, Protect Dog Training. Yeah, I'm getting on this little Caesar kick because he mentioned my name the other night, so I kind of thought I'd do some stories in regards to our past. Some of the things that we used to get into and do, and some of our adventures in general. I'm not going to do one every day, and I probably won't do even 5 or 6 of them until I run out of energy in this direction, mainly. It's kind of old enzyme, memories that come back with him mentioning my name. And so I just thought I'd put out a personal note and ask you to go ahead and subscribe, hit that bell. I never usually do that. A lot of people sit there with a subscribe flashing on the screen, and they're always pushing you to subscribe. I don't do that much, but I'm going to ask you now because I think a lot of people are maybe noticing me a little bit more because of Caesar mentioning my name. So if you'd be so kind, tell your friends, show on up. Those that have been watching for a while already know that I don't have many bells and whistles. It's not a commercial venture. It's just me trying to do my thing, to teach, to educate, and spend my time in doing what I love to do, which is to teach and educate, to try to pass on my knowledge and to give some of my wisdom with as many years as I've been doing it, right? So we'll probably do maybe one a week of talking about Caesar for 5 or 6 times till I run out of gas, run out of energy, and change it. I've got some puppies now that I've got in from another trainer, and I've told you before that a lot of times other trainers are paying me to do the work for their overflow, or possibly because they don't want to handle something or whatever it may be. It doesn't matter, but I do tend to have some referrals and from dogs that come from other professionals. It's interesting. Sometimes more than I do just the general public. So I've got 2 dogs in from a same trainer that had Legend. And with Legend's training, he had some large holes in his training and his build of the animal. And I look at it a lot more, and you've heard me say this, a lot more than heel, sit down, stay. It's building an animal that's going to be able to carry themselves in life, to be confident, to be sure of themselves, to have a demeanor that fulfills the job that I'm trying to do, which is to build an animal. To build an animal to be an executive protection dog, a dog you can take any place with you, is friendly and fine, but will do his job if needed, okay? And that criteria is based on a lot of years of experience, okay? So it comes from being around the sports, hanging around Schutz and all the different ring sport stuff you see me doing. I'm always giving you videos of me traveling all over the place. I'm usually on the bench. I don't compete because I don't enjoy what I call the human factor, right? The politics, the backstabbing, the mouth, and all the stuff that comes with the human factor. I don't enjoy that, but I do enjoy being on the bench and watching these guys go. I admire them. I respect them for those that are doing. Our society is based on one of competition, so you're going to have this human factor in anything you get into. Look at the parents fighting each other on the baseball field with their kids out there playing baseball and screaming and yelling and getting in fights on the sidelines. That's the human factor, and I don't enjoy that part of it. So I've decided a long time ago to, and they can look at me and say, you're not that good because you don't go out and compete. Well, I disagree because I've been doing this for a lot of years, and there's a lot of things that I have to do with the challenge of meeting my customers' needs and what I do that they'll never know about, right? So it is what it is, as I always like to say. So look for some things coming out about Caesar. I'm going to be talking about that a little bit. But this morning I'm going to come back and I'm going to do some of these videos with this guy's puppies. About 7-month-old. I've got a Dutch Shepherd puppy out of Devil and Tommy's son, Devil dog. And that's the breeding out of Hanspeg's bloodlines. And then I've got also another same age, around 7 months old, Malinois. And what's interesting about these 2 dogs is right away I see the similarities because of what he's doing with them. And I want to talk about that a little bit now before I show you them, and I'll go over it again when you see them. But this gentleman's doing a lot of the Instagram stuff. He's doing a lot of the luring, and you see his videos, and he's got thousands of people that follow him. And it looks great on film. Okay, but he's got huge holes in his training. I'm trying to educate him, trying to teach him. He's going to get better. He's willing to listen to me. He's willing to get beat up by me because I pretty much beat up on him every day and tell him, dude, you got to learn. So reality and truth, that's admirable on his part because he's learning and growing, and he's paying me to do a job of training the dogs. He's gotten a lot cheaper than him having to go to Michael Ellis and go to the school. You know what I mean? So in that regard, not that I'm anywhere near Michael Ellis, but you get my point. He's getting to learn and grow on my 30 years of experience, and I'm just that's my nature. I can't help myself. He's paying me a wage to work the dog, paying me a dollar to work the dog. So that being the case, I'm going to do everything I can to puke my guts out and to give of myself in regards to that, because he's my client. That's what I do. I teach, I educate. So that being the case, I'm going to give him all I can in that regards and try to make sure that he learns and grows. So with Legend, the whole was that he didn't cover any impulse control. Now, why is this happening to him? It's because he's sticking food in the dog's mouth and he's doing luring, and he's luring behaviors of heeling and that focused heel, and the dog sitting and downing, and it looks great on film. It does. I mean, it makes him look all impressive on Instagram. But he's got huge holes in his development of the animal. That being the case is something I'm trying to get across to him. So I get these 2 puppies in a couple days ago, and I start evaluating them and figuring out where their heads are at. And I see the same kind of thing. These dogs are evolving into what they're evolving into based on how he manages the animal. And so the animals are like a coiled spring because he's been keeping them in their kennels and then taking them out and working them and putting food in their face. And they're like a circus animal, okay? It's like you'd go down and see an act of a circus animal, and the animal goes out and performs, and boy, that looks cool. But reality, where's the dog's head at in the work? That's the most important thing. And he's missing huge holes. So we've got to get these dogs to settle down, and I'm doing a lot of releasing the dogs into environment, letting them experience the world, and trying to get their energy levels to calm down within the work. In other words, right before you take them out of the kennel, they're wound up like an 8-day clock, and when you try to put them away, they're getting really affected by how he's managing them in the work. And it's really something that I need to try to get across to you guys, because you hear Caesar talking about it all the time. Let's keep mentioning Caesar now. Energy, that word, that huge word that he used to always use and then try to explain it to me. And that was his word back then too, and it still is today. But reality and truth is that he was right. And it was just my point of view, and I was arguing with him back then. I used to try to pound him a little bit about it, was energy is too large of a word. People won't understand what you're trying to tell them, Caesar. And so I would pound him about it, saying it's a nebulous type of a word. It's used. What does energy mean? It means 5,000 things, So now, because he's had his show and because he's been giving you a lot of himself over the years, people now understand what he's been trying to say, and now they understand energy, right? So now you can use it, right? But back then they had no clue. And now he's got enough under his belt and enough of his shows that people pick up on it and understand what he's trying to say. It's the energy coming from you that gets the dog to react, but it's also the dog's energy and you trying to control that energy, calm and assertive, right? So these dogs are wound up like an 8-day clock. And they're so wound up, it's not if that it's getting in the way. It's frustrating to me. It's the same thing Legend was frustrating as heck, because I don't understand somebody that doesn't understand how to build a dog. Training is so much more, guys. Building a dog, my type of dog anyway, a service dog, any type of dog that I wanted to do a function and a job, is so much more than heel, sit down, stay, right? So like I told him, you got to teach the dog a release word. You got to let him learn to go out and experience the world and have their brain into the world and learning and growing on what they're being exposed with. Some people call that socialization. I don't like the word socialization. We'll go over that another time. But in a general sense, environmental exposure, right? But if you've got your dog always stuck in that little hand of food and luring the dog, what is the dog experiencing? Nothing. His whole being is in tune with that food and going after the food. Okay, so you're going to get luring, you're going to get behaviors, but where's the dog's head at in the work? What are you doing? Right? You're teaching the dog a bunch of circus tricks. He's like a friggin' seal on the friggin' in Marineland, and he's a seal. He's doing the trick. They'll do those tricks 1,000 times, and people are all impressed. But where's that poor animal's head in the work, right? And a dog is so much more than that, right? A dog should be a part of who you are, right? And your environment, and have that demeanor that he carries himself the proper way, and that he can do a job based on that fact that you've built that dog properly. people, places, things, environmental. That's why people started calling me the environmental man. I mean, got this little nickname after I went down that canine street league and I started hearing this little thing. Yeah, you're the environment guy. That's cracking me up. But that's reality, guys. That really is. And I'm going to try to emphasize that with these puppies. I get stuck on whatever I'm working and I start talking about that. You saw it with Legend. I was talking about impulse control and leaking because Legend had a really genetic predisposition for leaking, by the way, guys. If you guys don't know what that means when I say it, it's whining. It's getting excited. And they get excited about whatever, and we call that leaking. It's energy coming out of the animal that they have no other way of dealing with, so they put it into a vocal, right? So we'll talk about that more as we go along. And in this case, we're talking about what you're going to do to the animals if you don't. They're 7-8 months old right now. And the critical development period is from 8 weeks of age till 4 months of age. And then another one from 4 months on to about 6 months, 8 months. See what I'm saying? So when you do these things and you start to get a development pattern based on how you're managing the animal, you're going to get that to stick, and that dog will be affected like that for the rest of his life. Right? I'll show it to you and we'll explain it more as we go along. So look more. Make sure you subscribe. Hit that bell. I appreciate it. Tell your friends. I thank you very much. You guys have a good day. Mark Ferrasci, Protect Dogs, training, yakking at the screen about dogs as always. You have a good day, guys.